Hello and welcome to Character Dive. My name is Tessa. I'll be your diver today. Today we're talking about Portrait of a Lady on Fire. This film is directed by Celine Sciamma. She's a French filmmaker. A lot of her movies talk about identity, sexuality, isolation, and loneliness. And this film has that all in spades as well. There's not a lot of characters in this movie. There's these two women, maid for the house, and then the mother. And that's pretty much it. And so I'll talk about them a little bit, of course. As a character diver, I focus my reviews on characters themselves. The most important thing to me is, are the characters strong? Do they make the movie stronger for who they are? I'll talk about the characters for a little bit, that won't take too much time, and then I want to talk about the film more itself because it's artsy. And there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about this, like symbolically and all that good stuff. So, character dive! Our protagonist is Marianne. She's the woman in red. She's played by Noémie Merlant, I think. Marianne is a painter. Her father was a painter, and she inherited that business. And she's hired by our romantic interest's mother to paint her daughter. But she has to do it in secret because the daughter refuses to be painted. And so the first part of the movie is a lot of her following this woman around, trying to look at her features, memorize them so that she can paint at night. We follow the movie entirely from this character, Marianne. Her name's not said a whole lot, which is an interesting thing. It's if a movie could be first-person perspective without being, handheld camera, this would be it. Because we're following her entirely, everyone talks to her and reacts to her, and you're following along her emotional journey. And I thought it was really strong. This is like an olden times movie. Women are, expected to be a certain way, more so than now. But she defies that image pretty much right away, being an artist. She has the one dress pretty much, but you get a sense she's not as ladylike, and that could be something to be said about her class as well. She's obviously not of higher class. The director said this movie was pretty much supposed to be about a love story, first of all, but also a love affair, and the remnants we still carry with us, the memories we still carry with us about a first love. And so the movie is about all these two people, but we follow Marianne and sort of how she continues and carries on the events of this story as it goes on. I thought she was very strong. She's a pretty, not completely silent protagonist per se, but she's a little on the quieter side. Very insightful, introspective, and I think that also contributes to the movie's kind of first-person focus. But a lot of this movie is focusing on the finer details, really just honing in on the tiny specific things and not so much in your face, this is what's going on. This character, I was able to put myself in her shoes more so than the other romantic lead, but I think I felt a little bit less from her, just probably because you're supposed to be her and empathize with her in that way that you're following along with her. And so you see yourself in her and you follow along with her, but you're not as emotionally affected by her, I think, because she's not the emotional focus. She's not the emotional focus, she's the empathetic focus, which I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But that's how I felt from this movie. Now, the next character I did feel more emotional attachment to. I think that's pretty much what I mean, because you're following along with Marianne, who feels love for this woman. You're following along with her and you feel for the other woman. So let's talk about the other woman. So our romantic lead is Eloise, played by Adele Haenel. I did not take French. I did not take any European languages. I'm a Japanese major. That's my degree right there for Japanese. Anyway, as I said before, the film is a lot about minor details, and a lot of that minor details are Eloise's facial expressions. Because you're following along with Marianne, who needs to study her and memorize her facial structure and her body language in order to be able to paint her, you're also looking for those things. You're watching every single twitch of her mouth. You're watching the way her eyebrows furrow. You're watching her eyes. You're watching pretty much everything. There's like a scene where Marianne is studying her ear, and you're looking at all the details along with her and watching Marianne recreate that when she paints it later in the evening. A lot of my focus was on Eloise, and as I said, that's where most of the minor details I was looking for was in her character. At first, I was expecting her to be kind of stereotypical period woman, just kind of very like dainty and quiet and submissive kind of, but right away she throws that out the window, and she's quiet, but it's because she doesn't trust anybody, and she's angry. Her story is basically her sister was in an arranged marriage. She dies and leaves Eloise with the responsibility of marrying this man from Italy. Yeah, from Italy. And she's very angry about that. She feels like a prisoner, essentially, and her mother doesn't help. She keeps her indoors, partly of fear, partly, to keep her in line. And so to sort of bait her into, letting this artist see her without her knowing, is they let her go outside and they let her go on walks. But she's always walking right ahead. She's like trying not to look at Marianne, at least in the first little bit of the movie. And so that's, where looking for the finer details comes in, is you're trying to see what she's about, what she's thinking, what the hell is going on. And then the mother leaves. Her character opens up entirely. She embraces this friendship, firstly, with Marianne and the maid, which I'll talk about in a second also. The lines of her face are smoother. They're not as, furrowed. She's not looking as angry. She's looking a little more free. So Marianne and Eloise meet, and it's shaky. It's a lot of distrust at first, not a lot of communication at all. They start out with, Marianne being like, I know you, I've watched you, and I know exactly who you are. And Eloise going, no, you don't. And sure enough, she changes right under Marianne's eyes. And that's part of falling in love as well, is that you meet the first layer of a person, and then you get to know more and more layers, and you hopefully fall deeper and deeper in love. The end of the movie is especially impactful because, without giving spoilers, you're just zooming in on Eloise's face and watching the emotions overcome her, and it's several emotions all at once. And this actress just blew it out of the park of just sitting there and looking in the distance and able to convey so many things at once that you can name grief, sorrow, remembering, love, happiness, joy, experiencing something new, just tons of stuff in a single frame of just, zooming in on her face. And again, you're focusing on all the details of her face because you've learned to by watching Marianne. And so, that was really impactful for me for this film, to just, look at this person, see their outside layers, see all the details, get to know them deeper, and still you're looking for all these tiny details in them. Next character is Sophie. She's the maid of the household. She's played by Luana Bonrami. At first, I wasn't expecting a lot from this character either, just because it's a maid. I didn't expect how small this movie was going to be. I was just following Marianne, and they take her to a castle, essentially, and there's no one there. And so I thought she was just going to be one of many maids. She's a younger girl, I would say, but she ends up being much more. She ends up being, I think she's a surrogate daughter for these two women, and sort of reflecting that younger womanhood that they have gone through, but haven't really shared the same experiences as her. There's a scene where they're talking about Orpheus, and that is going to be more prevalent in a second. I'm going to go into that more in detail, but she has a completely different view from the two of them. It's more of a naive view, just showing that she is younger and not having really seen the world yet, and so they feel a protectiveness over her. They try and take care of her, and they're all friends by the end, and it's just as sad when Marianne has to leave for Eloise as it is to leave Sophie. Sophie's character arc is that of getting pregnant and not wanting to be pregnant, and so it's a specific womanhood, especially for the olden times, that was considered a prime responsibility for these women. And so not only does Sophie represent their past, but I think she represents their inevitable future as well, that they're kind of dreading and not wanting to take part of. They're watching her go through this experience, and the relationship between Marianne and Eloise shifts, where Marianne, who's supposed to be the more intelligent one, the more experienced one, shies away from the situation, and Eloise stops her and goes, "No, look, watch. Hi, baby." And Sophie triggers that change in them and makes the dynamic shift through their parenting. The last character is the mother, and you learn right away that she's that protective, overprotective, worrywart kind of person. But even then, you get to know her right away at the surface level, and then you dig deeper and you find out she's felt trapped as much as the other women have, and that, like, she's locked in. She talks about Italy and loving Italy. And all the arts that you get to experience in Italy, she's a big fan of that, and she and Marianne bond over that. And this scene in particular, the two of them actually switch between French and Italian in like a seamless kind of way, and that's pretty neat. I think that's also a dig at classism. They talk about Italy, and the mom assumes that Marianne knows nothing about Italy and starts speaking Italian, and then Marianne responds in Italian, and they go back and forth, and it's kind of like, no, we're still on equal level, lady, and like it quickly becomes like a bonding thing. But I think part of that is to set up like a retort against classism. In the end, she's not around much. She sort of represents like a warden, I think, for Eloise, keeping her trapped and locked up, probably because that's all she knows and that's the expectation. And then when she leaves, we get to dig deeper in Eloise and Sophie and Marianne, and then she comes back, and it's sort of like the executioner coming to deliver that inevitable future for Eloise, where they're gonna have to leave, and Eloise will have to settle into her arranged marriage. Despite that, Marianne still feels something for the mother, probably shared womanhood, honestly, in that experience, and she hugs her goodbye as well as everyone else. And so, even though her presence is pretty negative, Marianne finds something out of it, finds solidarity in it. So let's talk about artsy stuff about this movie, because it's artsy. And this is the first movie in a hot minute that's really made me think about the filmmaking part of it and the meaning behind it. I think definitely in the future this is going to be something film majors will study, and I hope so. I hope more people watch this director's movies as well. I certainly plan to at some point, however I can, because it's brilliant imagery and digging into real hardcore issues that the director claims only film can really articulate, particularly loneliness for her. Film is the only medium to articulate that feeling of isolation and loneliness. And she does so here as well. There's scenes of Marianne standing alone or sitting alone, and then all these other people, obviously of higher class, are just kind of shifted off to the side. Even when she's in a gallery with all of her art and she's in the center of it, there's like a bubble that surrounds her as the crowd like passes through, and only like one guy pierces that bubble to talk to her briefly, and even then there's still like a disconnect between the two of them. There's a disconnect in one scene where they go with Sophie to like I don't know what it is, a bonfire party with all these women. Eloise and Marianne are separated by this fire, and they're just kind of looking at each other across the fire, and like the fire probably represents the passion between the two of them, fiery, hot, all that expected meanings of fire, but also it's a divide between the two of them that's like gonna burn the bridge between the two of them. Listen, this movie makes me sound smart. That's why I want to talk about it. So the story of Orpheus, there's a scene where they're reading poetry. Eloises and Marianne and Sophie are listening to it and engaging. All three of them are engaging together on it, and that becomes a main theme of the movie, is just the idea of why did Orpheus look back and send his lover back to the underworld instead of following through on his promise and having the two of them leave together. Sophie, in her naiveness, thinks it's stupid and thinks that there was no reason for him to do that and he shouldn't have done that. Marianne's idea is it was for love. He wanted to see his beloved and he just couldn't help himself. The love kind of overtook him and made him make a dumb decision. Eloise says, what if she asked him to turn around? And sort of brings up this point of memory over actual experience. And so that's a big theme of the movie, is memory. Sort of taking this fleeting thing and giving it up for the sake of preserving this good memory. And that ends up happening between the two of them. There's a lot of sequences where Marianne is walking and she senses someone behind her and turns around and Eloise is there. And this is, I think one happens before the Orpheus story and one happens after the Orpheus story, but she does turn around both times. And this is probably like a warning to like, don't be like Orpheus, but ultimately she is, because Eloise is the one to tell her to turn around right before she's leaving. And then it's immediately followed by Marianne at her gallery where she's featuring a painting of Orpheus and his wife. And his wife is in white, he's in blue, and Marianne's been in red this whole movie, but in this scene she's in blue and she's standing like right in front of Orpheus to drive home that she is Orpheus, and using that story to really articulate that theme of nothing lasts forever, but you'll always have the memory of it. The story does not end happy for the queer romance, go figure, but that was intentional on the director's part, who I know is queer, so she's not, doing anything harmful for this community and queer films. It's just that's the theme that she wanted to go with, which was loneliness, memory, first love / love affair, because she used the words love affair and the remembrance of that and how a first love always sticks with you. And I think it is a poignant thing that not a lot of people think about, is that the first one is always going to be the most intense and it's going to be the one you remember no matter what. That might not be the case for everyone, but at least from what I've experienced as a young gay, it definitely is that sort of experience. We don't get to express ourselves as freely in high school. At least people my age really didn't. It was only after college that we really are able to flourish and express ourselves more, and there's something to be said, and like I'm sure people have said it, where we do experience those typical emotions more intensely because we were denied it at the younger age. So as where straight people have the privilege of being more experienced and having that more experience under their belt, not always necessarily true, but just in general, gay people, queer people are delayed but feel, I think, the intensity of all those years, but just all at once. So that's what I took from this film and its idea of first love and remembering that first love. The other thing about this movie that really threw me off and had me thinking for a long time, there's no soundtrack. None. There's 2 songs. One is not even really a song. It's at the bonfire party where all the women just start chanting something. I still don't know what it is, but they're chanting. And then the very end, there's a classical piece that Marianne talks about to Eloise early in the film. That's it. Otherwise, the soundtrack is, I would say, the sounds of the ocean, fire crackling, because there's a lot of that, and the women breathing. Not to put it creepy, but just like the sound, not having soundtrack was intentional on the director's part to make the audience focus more and not, rely on musical cues, which you never really think about until you don't have it. I was put off for most of the film only because my other experience with no soundtrack was the Buffy episode The Body, where she finds her mom dead. Very serious stuff, very morbid, dark grief that they didn't want to take away from by having soundtrack. And so I was like, uh-oh. But no, it's really going back to focusing on those minor details and really just making you focus, because you don't have the musical cue to let you sit back and go, I know exactly what I'm supposed to be feeling. You're supposed to look at every single person super closely and feel their emotions that way. It's a lot like studying a painting, honestly, and that's another part of this film, is that it's like studying a piece of art. And so I think art historians and art analyses can go well with film analyses as well. So the ocean, they're right on the coast. All of their walks are along the beach, and so you hear the ocean all the time, and you can hear that it's intense, that there's a lot of wind and it's just blowing and it's loud, and it fills the space between the silence of the 2 characters before they get acquainted. And it's sort of always like that. There's never a lull in the ocean. It's just always, this kind of intense thing. And I think that conveys its own message for the film as well. The other part of the soundtrack, fire, it must be winter or something, because they always talk about how cold it is, and there's a fire going in the fireplace all the time, and it adds to that isolation of Marianne just in her room painting, is that fire crackling, and it's a lot more subdued than the ocean splashing everywhere. It's this quiet crackling. Or you have the bonfire party where the big fire in the middle, where it kind of goes up and it burns Eloise's dress. According to the characters themselves, this is the moment where their relationship changed and their feelings for each other changed. And then the last thing is their breathing, as I said, and that's going back to this small attention to detail. Their inhales, their exhales. Eloise makes a point that when Marianne gets nervous, she breathes through her mouth, and so you can hear that. You can hear all those little things, and it's just adding to all these teeny tiny details that make this film whole. And so I really enjoyed this film for all those reasons, really making me think about all the tiny stuff and the complexity of emotion, the complexity of memory and first love, and the artistic beauty of it all. So that's Portrait of a Lady on Fire. If you are a queer woman, a sapphic, I definitely recommend this movie. I think it's a great piece to our history and our representation. If you're a film person in general, I think this is a great film to look at, how it's made and the visualization of all the themes. If you have any suggestions of what I should character dive into next, leave me a comment, subscribe to me, and we'll character dive soon again. Goodbye.